So, this is the Great White Stoke making a video response to Southern Nordic. Bro, it's always a pleasure speaking with you, and it's always a good feeling when you are able to converse with someone and they can pretty much say, I know exactly how you feel and what you're talking about. And with regards to your last video about domestic conflict and where we are, you mentioned a term called a cold civil war. And not too long ago, I was ruminating on the idea that we're in this early stages of a soft civil war. And a hot civil war would be where you have bona fide people walking around in uniforms with smart breast pockets. But we're not there yet. Where we are as a people of Ameriqua and heritage Ameriquans, as you like to call them, is that we are a first world people being treated like second-class citizens as their country is being turned into a third world. And what we are witnessing is an ambush from all sides, politically, economically, biologically, psychologically. It's an ambush from all sides, and we're seeing a system that was once working in our favor being weaponized against us. And one avenue of that is immigration. And that's not to say that immigrants are bad, but they are the unwitting foot soldiers of this soft civil conflict. And you're going to meet a lot of, I shouldn't say meet, but you're going to hear a bunch of people espouse their different viewpoints, and the ones that you want to stay away from are the ones that are advocating any type of violence towards the system or advocating not paying your taxes or anything like that. What I do suggest is that if you are concerned about where things are going, one, you should reacquaint yourself with violence in a way that is beneficial to the human spirit. And that can be done through the training of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where you're able to engage in hand-to-hand combat at full speed and learn how to really defend yourself. Two would be to get your health in order. And that means stepping away from a carb-heavy diet, stepping away from the processed sugars, the processed foods. Three is to get out of the city and to get rural. Because just by getting rural and being in an environment where you're seeing more nature than city developments, it's good for your mentality. Four is just disengaging as much as you can from the beast system. Not having a cable bill, not really listening to their programming, having an inner dialogue and coming to your own conclusions, free as much as possible from an outside influence. Five is to really, because you're disengaging, is to give the leftists and progressives what they want. Because they're not reproducing. As much as they are vitriolic, they're not reproducing. Many of them are aborting their babies, or they're homosexual, so they're not reproducing, or they're transformers and they are having hysterectomies or cutting off their sexual organs and mammary glands. And so their ideologies are going to die out. They're not reproducing, they can only recruit. And it wasn't too long ago where you would hear the subject of toxic masculinity come up and how bad that was. Well, they are surrounding themselves with a people who very much believe in toxic masculinity. They're surrounding themselves with people who really have no care about the Holocaust. They're surrounding themselves with people who don't worship at the idolatry of leftist progressivism. In fact, they're allowing people to come in who come from countries where they throw homosexuals off buildings. And so you have the very right idea of getting rural, getting as self-sufficient as possible, and just keeping your head low. And also choosing who you interact with, because you're very right. There are a lot of confidential informants, data mining, Fed whispering, turncoats, redcoat sympathizers, people who think that voting is going to cause any real solution to what's going on. Au contraire, you might be able to influence some local politics, but even at that level, the agents are deep and they're involved and they're watching. And these data miners are looking for ways to somehow run your good name through the mud and in a public manner, so that you're not able to feed yourself, feed your family, have any type of gainful employment. And it's very interesting that you mentioned that your boss stumbled across your videos and didn't say much besides that's cool. So more than likely he's sympathetic to the cause of what's going on in America. So that's all I have to say about that. Also, you bring up the fact that parallel systems are forming, and they are. There's a Bible verse where it goes, come out of her, my people, lest ye partake in her sins. And that's essentially what I've tried to do myself by getting out of the leftist liberal hellhole called California, where the criminals have more rights than the average law-abiding citizen, employees have more rights than the business owner, and tenants have more power over a piece of property than the actual property owner. And this is where we are. It's time to keep your head low, get self-sufficient, and watch the system accelerate into a third world hellhole, because the people that are coming in to replace us are not going to be able to carry the load of the people that built up this great country. And I surmise very soon you are going to see major pieces of infrastructure in California start to fail in the not too distant future. We're already seeing that in Washington, where they blew up a dam, ostensibly for the purpose of salmon spawning. Or could it be that the money to maintain that dam has been spent? They don't have qualified people to look after it. And so the next best answer to something like that, to a piece of infrastructure that they can't maintain, is to tear it down and then wrap it up in a lovely leftist, enviro-friendly package. What do you think, bro? Like I said, it's always good to talk to you. Hope you're doing well. Take care.